What's up everybody, welcome back to Car Studio. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about my E30 some more. The first two videos got a lot of good feedback and a lot of questions, and I'm here today to answer some of those questions and just talk about all the mods that I've done to my E30, some of my favorite mods, some mods that I think are necessities for any E30, and you know, let's get right to it. So let's talk about my interior mods. And the first one that I would do if I had just bought an E30 is an E36 center console and armrest. If you've been in a stock E30, you know that they don't have an armrest, and the Husco armrests now are going for crazy money. And honestly, they're not as good, in my opinion, as the E36 one. And you can pick these up from a pull apart for next to nothing. The next thing that I've done is, that I would say important, is a solid mount chassis shifter. And if that's too aggressive for you, like if you just have a daily driver that you know you don't want to be too aggressive with shifting, I would suggest just like a Z3 shifter and replacing all of your shifter bushings. Because a loose shifter in any car is a terrible feeling, you know. In no particular order from here on out, as far as interior goes, we'll talk about just the other general things that I've done. And that includes, you know, a stereo head unit. I just bought a dual brand from Walmart. It was like 20 bucks. I buy them all the time. They suffice. They do what I need them to do. The instrument cluster. And we'll just group that in with the dash in general. So when I got this car, there were a lot of light bulbs out, which is typical of a car this age. So I removed everything in the dash that was lit up and replaced all of the bulbs. I took the cluster apart and I wrapped the cluster in carbon fiber vinyl. I was just really bored one winter and I couldn't drive the car. Something that I did to the cluster that I love, and I'm glad I did, and I would suggest this to anybody, is the chrome instrument cluster bezels that I have. When the factory amber lights hit those stainless rings, it really lights up the whole cluster just a little bit better, and not only that, it looks really cool. Those are some mods to the gauge cluster and the dash that I would do. Just getting all the lights working and the chrome bezel rings. Another very cheap and highly suggested mod, I would say, is the clutch stop from Garagistic. I believe it's like 25 bucks on their website. These cars came factory with a threaded hole behind the clutch pedal, and it's like it was made for an upgrade. And so that pedal stop, like I said, 25 bucks is all it costs, and it limits your pedal travel. And I didn't think about this before until I got it, but it actually speeds up your shifting a lot. It will really make your shifts faster because you adjust your pedal stop. It is adjustable. You adjust it to where your pedal is pushed the least amount but still releases the clutch all the way. And so what that does is shorten your pedal throw, and when in turn make your shifts faster. I also bought these cheap brushed aluminum pedals off of, I think, Amazon. It was like 30 bucks, and they really make the car look a lot better. And my car was missing some of the rubber pedal covers, and you know, that fixed that problem. So two birds, one stone. So one more mod that I almost forgot would be my gauge bezel that I got, and they're on Garagistic's website also, I think for like 30 bucks. And they mount, they have different ones that mount different places. I chose the one that mounts down here right in front of the ashtray because that was kind of dead space, and with the E36 center console, you know, you've got room for other things that you would put there. All I've got done to the suspension is Vlocklin lowering springs, which they lower the car exactly how I wanted it to be, and They do ride nice, but they're a little bit too soft. So I have some H&R springs that I got off a parts car that I want to swap on it and see if they're a different spring rate, because the front of this car is awesome, but the rear, with the added power, it just squats so hard that my tires rub. Vlocklin lowering springs and E90 top hats. The E90 top hats can be bought from Garagistic's website, and they get you, I think, an inch lower just by bolting them on. As of now, as far as struts go, I'm using the leftovers from a set of Racelands I got years ago, and they're still good, but again, they're Racelands. I do plan on Bilstein, I think they're Bilstein Plus or Plus Sports. It's been so long since I've looked them up. I do intend on doing that this spring, and that should help the ride quality a lot better. But it really doesn't ride too bad. It's definitely better than, you know, cheap coilovers on these cars. I'll also have Garagistic poly control arm bushings in the front, the you know, the lollipops, and that was a huge upgrade. It stiffens the suspension so much. And I do also have Garagistic solid motor mounts, and again, those coupled with the poly control arm bushings really stiffen up the front end. And if you're wondering why you would need solid motor mounts, there's a little bit of vibration. If you do the solid motor mounts, I wouldn't get solid trans mounts. I would leave the stock trans mounts, which is what I have, because that would be a little bit too much vibration. But the vibration it has now is really nice. It really feels like you're one with the car, if you know what I mean. And it really helps when you're throwing it around the turns. You don't have all that added weight of the drivetrain as you would with you know, just the stock bushings. I didn't think this through very well, but definitely should have filmed the exterior mods first, because now after that drive, my car looks like it just went through a mud hole. But yeah, anyways, so first mod, well, this isn't the first mod I've done, but this is probably the most recent, was swapping wheels to BBS RC090s, or better known as Style 5s. That leads me to my next mod, which is studs and lug nuts. I have studs and lug nuts. I highly recommend it. It makes taking your wheels on and off so much easier. I also have a 2-inch wheel spacer. I don't know if you can see it back behind the wheel, but I'm sure you guys know what that's for. And the reason for that leads me to my next modification, are these flares. And this isn't something I recommend really. I just did it to this car. One, because the previous owner was a Honda guy and he rolled the factory quarter panel and fenders, and they just looked terrible and they needed replaced. There wasn't anything left to body work. So I put these flares on here, and with the 2-inch spacers, it really gives the car a really nice wide and stanced look. And I really like the way it turned out. So another exterior mod that is super cheap and easy to do is Ford Taurus side skirts. I always joke and say that these were made by BMW for E30s, and then Ford bought the patent because they fit so freaking well. Like, the body lines match up great. They fit really well underneath. There's tons of threads on how to install these. And I bought these from a pick and part, or a pull apart, for I think like $30 for both. If you watched my video on my turbo review, then you saw this already. But another very important mod is this CX Racing intake elbow. Whether you're boosted or naturally aspirated, I think it is a very important mod, because if you're an E30 owner, you've definitely dealt with the factory intake boot dry rotting and tearing, or ripping, causing a vacuum leak, rough idle, erratic idle. And this right here, I put a link in the eBay turbo video if you want to check the description on that. It was like 60 bucks or $65. and it just solves so many problems, and you'll never have to worry about that again. This is made of aluminum, and it comes with these really nice T-clamps and silicone boots. I mean, it's just stuff that you'll never have to worry about again. The turbo, again, highly recommend the turbo. I'll put a link to my eBay turbo review and go over, it goes over the installation and what I've thought about it over the past year of ownership. So that does it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to subscribe, I have tons more on this car coming up. I plan on dropping the rear subframe, swapping out the LSD for a different ratio that will work better with being boosted, and changing all the bushings to poly bushings. In the next few weeks, we're probably going to start building the spare engine I have for this car and upgrading some components of the head to handle more boost, and probably do head studs and mega squirt for tuning and bigger injectors, and again, maybe a wide body. So like I said, subscribe, like, share, tell your friends. There's a lot of E30 content on this channel, and a lot of just BMW content. We're going to be pulling the motor in this F30 very soon, because I'm going to be ordering a new one for it. And you know, I've got, I think, 5 or 6 BMWs at the moment, so there's a lot of content coming up. Thank you so much.